Hey guys, what's going on? Tommy Oliver here for Tommy Oliver TV, and today I got a video for you guys on Batman v Superman, the new movie that just dropped yesterday. But this movie was too big for me to take on alone, so in the spirit of a team-up, I'm here with my good friend and fitness enthusiast, Jordan Downs, aka JaxBlade. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, booyah, but I'm not doing too good because I just saw this bullshit movie. How you doing, Tommy?
Pretty much the same, dude. So we both went to see Batman v Superman, not at the same time, because I don't even know where you are, but
I'm in Maryland.
So we're not close enough to see this flick together, but you went to see it with your friend. I went to see it with my dad. We both went on opening day, I guess.
Yes.
And it did some things.
That's one way of putting it. Nice way of putting it.
So I guess before we even get started, like, going in, I kind of expected this movie to not do too well. Just like all the noise surrounding it and just the general, I guess, condition of DC's kind of films have being just like subpar for so long now. I wasn't really expecting a masterpiece from this, especially considering Man of Steel was kind of meh. And then even like Zack Snyder, when he did Watchmen, I didn't think was very good compared to the comic book adaptation either.
Oh, no, definitely not.
So going in, I just wasn't really expecting all that much from this. I mean, were you any different? Did you have high expectations coming in, or were you expecting a train wreck?
Okay, well, me personally, I once heard I was doing a Batman v Superman movie. I was like, why are you doing this like so fast? I mean, you're really trying to catch up to the MCU. I mean, they took time. They were like, you know what's sad is they could have did this years ago. If Superman Returns was actually a decent film, then you probably could have did it with a Batman Begins and all that, and then start something new from that. But they didn't. And so, like with this film, I was like, you know, I Am Legend did call this, so let's see how it is. And then the second trailer, the beginning of the second trailer sold me. Like, you had that interaction between Clark and Bruce, and then, like, you know, oh shit, that tension is building. And then they fucked it up when fucking Ninja Turtle ass Doomsday came in. And then I was just like, all right, I'm not sure how to feel about this movie. But then, like, I saw the fight scenes, and since I'm a big fan of, like, martial arts choreography, and then that's one thing I can say I really enjoyed about Man of Steel was the fight scene between Zod, because that was just like, I mean, honestly, it was like a DBZ fight in live action. Okay, that's pretty much what it was, and I enjoyed that. But I was kind of just on the fence about it. Like, I was like, I'm teetering to liking it, but not so much. But how about you, man?
Yeah, I mean, I just went in expecting just kind of the same. I wasn't expecting, like, everyone was shooting on this movie, like, super hardcore. And I didn't think it was going to be that bad. Because, I mean, again, like, we both liked Amazing Spider-Man 2, and everyone panned the fuck out of that movie. So, I feel like superhero flicks, for me, I have a bit of, like, leeway for. So I was expecting this to be better than all the detractors were saying, but about like a 6 or something. Because again, like, nothing Snyder has done with superheroes has really impressed me all that much. And that's pretty much what I got. But you just mentioned the action scenes. And I think if we can probably agree that one thing that Snyder does really well is action scenes.
Oh, yeah.
He's really good with the cinematography and the dynamic stuff and the way he likes to slow things down, which kind of gets out of control here and there.
Oh, it does.
He definitely has a very unique visual style to all of his choreography, and I think that was doing some good things in this movie. I think the action stuff, especially with Batman near the tail end,
oh yeah, okay,
was really fucking good.
That was okay. I'm gonna say this. This so far, Batman fighting wise, best Batman ever fighting wise. Okay, like all the other Batmans, like really, if you go back and watch stuff like Batman Begins, like you can barely see him fighting. It's like a bunch of like rapid movement and you can't really focus on it. Dark Knight, I mean, he's fighting just a bunch of henchmen, so he's kind of just like owning them the entire time. And Batman Dark Knight Rises, it was just like, that was just the most stilted choreography I've ever seen before. Like, you get in fake fights with your friends that look better than that. This one was like some Arkham Asylum stuff. Like, he was doing combos, choreography, breaking people's bones in all different places. It was like watching a Jackie Chan film, like with the choreography, and it was like some of it was one shot, so it was just like kept going, and I was just like, damn, man, like, I'm starting to wonder, is Daredevil in that suit or something?
Right? Like, that's the whole thing. Like, coming off of watching season 2 of Daredevil last week, and then coming into this, you know, it felt very similar with, like, that visceral, like, there was that whole scene when he's trying to save Martha Kent, and, like, it's, like, one just continuous, like, sequence. And he's just, like, wrecking everybody, and it's super fluid. And, like, that's a great comparison, comparing it to something like an Arkham game, because it does have that kind of free-flow combat kind of feel to it, the way that everything is kind of chained off of each other, and the fact that like the suit looked really good. And I thought, to kind of transition over, I thought Ben Affleck did good.
Yeah,
like everyone was shitting on him, and like he bulked up hardcore.
Yo, he did.
And brought it. Like when he was doing that training sequence, and like it, like he's like doing the pull-ups,
yeah,
and like you see his fucking like abs like fucking cut as shit. I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, I was like, God damn, man. Like, what is with all? That's what I love. All right, I love when this is one of those things. I'll give the Batman film because like Christian Bale, respect, man. I mean, you're great as Bruce Wayne, but like your body wasn't as tight as what I thought. Like Batman's supposed to be like the ultimate bodybuilder, crazy buff muscles everywhere, and he's just like Ben Affleck. Okay, he's really proving his acting chops and just like physical capability these last few years. So I'm greatly impressed. Like, I mean, years ago he started in that. It's funny we were talking about Daredevil because he was Daredevil,
right?
And now he's freaking Batman, and he's like doing a decent job, but it's like not that great a movie. And then Daredevil comes back, is doing a great job, and all this it's weird. It's kind of weird to think about it, but yeah, my God, I got to give absolute respect to Ben Affleck. Okay, all the stuff he was definitely the like highlight in this mess. But you'll get to this.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, everyone who's shitting on Ben Affleck, like to the point, like before the movie came out, I was kind of like hoping, I'm like, man, I really hope he just like pulls the rug out of under from all these people and just fucking nails it. And he did. I thought he did really good. And what else? I mean, I thought Wonder Woman was pretty good in this movie. Like a lot of people were saying that I'd heard beforehand that like she like stole the show, and every scene she was in she like commanded. And I don't know if I would go that far, not because I don't think what was it, Gal Gadot, I think.
Yeah, Gal Gadot. She was from the Fast and Furious things.
Yeah, I don't think it's because her performance was bad. I thought her performance was really good. They didn't do a lot with her, so I didn't feel like any scene she was in she really commanded, because they didn't really give her the chance to do it. I thought the best scene with her in it was really quick. It was when she's fighting Doomsday, and he fucks and just like hits her, and she goes flying across the screen, and then she just looks back up and like smirks like, fuck yes, this is a great fight. That was
yes.
that was a Wonder Woman moment right there. Just like, I don't give a shit. And like she just fucking goes to town and like is cutting limbs off and shit.
Oh my God, dude, I agree with you so much on that. The Wonder Woman fight, Diana, she was like, when she came on, it was just you could tell she was a force of nature. Like she was doing pretty damn good. She was like actually doing like the most damage to Doomsday, like with all her combos and stuff like that. And she's doing, I'm not gonna spoil it. So there's a plot hole in this movie that me and him were gonna get to soon enough. But like she was like wrecking Doomsday so bad, and like she could tell she was enjoying the fight. I mean, it was like doing a decent fight against the creature, but you know what? I'll save that for later.
Yeah, and then I think the last thing that I really enjoyed was like some of the cameos they had of the other heroes. I thought Aquaman looked really cool.
Oh yeah, that was cool. Like he had his glowing eyes and stuff like that. And then you know what? I have to ask: did they get Carrie Payton, the voice of Cyborg, to do the voice of Cyborg? Because that sounded a lot like his scream.
It did. I wasn't sure. I was gonna ask you the same thing actually, because I wasn't sure who they got to do that. I mean, I didn't look it up because I'm lazy.
Yeah, same here.
The whole reason I'm doing this like this podcast with you, because like we were both like bitching on Twitter all night last night, and I was trying like all night to just like script something, but I was just too frustrated to like write anything down. So I'm like, fuck it, me and Jax can knock this out of the park.
Oh yes, exactly.
So that was kind of what started this whole thing. But no, I didn't look anything up because I was just like floundering in my own like nerd rage.
Oh yeah, I preach it, man. Like I was up until like 3:50 just thinking of all the plot holes of this film. I was just like, all right, there's some good. I like this. Like, okay, I'll say this. I like 1/10 of the film. 1/10.
Yeah. I mean, there are some ideas there I think are working pretty well. I like some of the concepts I think are good, but there's just so much that I don't get why they would do. And I guess that can just lead us into the everything else part, which is, everything we didn't mention is pretty much a fucking ridiculous thing.
Yes,
so
it is.
Let's start with what I think is probably like the nerdiest things to be mad about, but also because this movie is for nerds, I think very important to mention. That's all the character butchering that went on in this film.
Oh yeah, who do you want to start with, man?
I mean, I guess we can start because we just kind of talked about it a bit. Ben Affleck did a great performance.
As Thomas Wayne.
Was that as Thomas Wayne? Right. Was that really Batman? Was that really Bruce Wayne? I'm going to say no to that, because I mean, I get what they're trying to go for, is having him be pissed off that his building got broken and like his people died and stuff like that. And like because Bruce is obviously the only like human, like, you know, he's dealing with this whole meta-human problem. Like,
He's immortal among gods.
He's the man among the gods, and again, they make that very clear with all the religious symbolism throughout this entire movie. But I just feel like regular Bruce Wayne wouldn't go to the extreme that this Bruce does. Again, it's like you said, it's more of a Thomas Wayne thing, and the fact that like Batman's like whole MO in the comics is that, like, you know, almost to a fault, he doesn't kill. And in this movie, like, he's just blatantly offing people.
Dude, I think honestly that Bruce Wayne was sick and Frank Castle just was like, I got you suit, bro. And just went out with it and just
right?
did his thing. Because like there's some scenes in this movie that I'm just like, this is not Batman. He is shooting people down. It's just like, you know, I don't care if he's using his own gun. He's using other people's guns. And he is just like blowing people up all around. And I'm just like, why? This is Batman. And so like one of the things I have to really question is, like, I understand Batman has killed people before in the comics. Like in the old early detective comics, he had a gun. He would shoot criminals dead. He would snap their necks in like windowsills and all this jazz. And then even in the old Tim Burton movies, like that Batman, he would straight up just murder people back and forth just to defend himself or just for glee, like in Batman Returns. But one thing I really want to get across is like, okay, so they're establishing this Batman is basically the Punisher or Thomas Wayne in the Batsuit. Why is Joker still alive? Like, he kills so many villains, and all the people in Suicide Squad, they should be fried. They should not be alive at all, especially for what he did to Jason. But then there's rumors going out that, you know, Joker is like, this is rumors. I'm not saying that's fact.
Well, that's the thing that I found really weird, the way they introduced Batman to this. And this is why I think going as mock speed as they are right now, trying to establish their cinematic universe to compete with Marvel is weird. Because the way they kind of introduced Bruce Wayne in the beginning, like the first part of the movie is basically the end of Man of Steel again from Bruce's perspective, so you can kind of understand what his motivations are for wanting to take down Superman. It felt to me like at that point he wasn't Batman yet.
He wasn't. It really didn't. He just felt like a guy who's just like pissed.
Because like if that was happening and he was already Batman, wouldn't he have gotten in the Batsuit and been out there trying to do some shit?
Yeah, he should have been trying to take down the Thing.
Right. So like that's what he would be doing if he was already Batman. I was like, okay, so this is what inspires Bruce to kind of like take the extra step and become Batman in this universe. Batman is a response to Superman. But then they have that shot where he's putting the suit away and he's walking up the stairs and there's another suit in a case that implies that Joker exists, and there's this whole backstory. But then they have the whole thing where he's branding criminals, and there's only been 2 people who've been branded. So Batman's been around for X amount of time, but just started branding people because he's mad about Superman all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It's like they wanted to have this be the origin story for Batman, but like, I don't know, fuck it, we shouldn't do that. So none of that really made any sense to me, like where Batman started and why he started. Is he a response to his parents' death, like normally? Or is he a response to Superman? And they don't really clarify which is which. And then you have him obviously killing a bunch of people, which is antithetical to Batman's character entirely.
Yeah, because he was like basically saying, like, I remember in the Red Hood thing, he straight up said to Jason, like, hey, I would always dreamed of killing Joker and all this thing, but I'm mentally messed up from what's going on. If I kill this one person, I don't know when I'll stop. I'll basically become Frank Castle, the Punisher.
He'll become what he doesn't want to be, you know? And, like, the first thing that showed a major red flag to me in this Batman thing is when he has that night terror of, like, him being captured by the Superman Gestapo, you know?
Yeah, in the Mad Max world.
And he's breaking out, and he grabs the handgun and just starts offing everybody. And I'm just like, that's not Batman.
Yeah,
but I'm like, this has to be like a dream, and it was obviously.
Well, you saw the parademons like flying around.
Yeah, the parademons, which was like, I was like, fucking Darkseid is up here with fucking Superman. What's going on? So that's the thing, and that was like, all right, whatever. That was a dream sequence. He can be as ridiculous as he wants. But then they bring in the Batmobile, and the first thing it does is slam in that fucking car, and it goes flying.
Yeah,
and it's like, I'm pretty sure those guys are dead. And I'm just like, okay, well, maybe that was just an oversight. Then the machine guns pop out, and he's blowing the fuck out of everybody. I'm like, all right, this isn't Batman then. Okay, it's good that we know that.
Exactly. I mean, like, okay, yeah, I mean, in Batman Begins, at least it seemed like he was trying actively not to, like, kill people. I mean, he was running them over, like, but I'm, like, trying to incapacitate him. And this, it was just like, no, you're gonna die. Also, okay, here's another bonus. I love what they did with Batman's voice. It's not that whole
Yeah.
swear to me. It's like an actual like a voice
It's
modulator.
a device to like mask your voice so no one can recognize you, which makes sense because if Bruce Wayne's this big public figure, you know, like you want to make sure no one can recognize that.
Exactly.
So they had like that was a cool little thing. Like they slid that in really nice with Alfred saying like the voice thing works again, and he puts it up to his like throat, and it masks his voice, which was cool. And I think that was like one of the cool things they did with Batman, because like visually the suit looked great, the choreography was awesome, Affleck did a great job, but he was playing Thomas Wayne. And to people who don't know, there was an alternate universe where Bruce Wayne dies and his father Thomas Wayne becomes Batman, but he's way angry. He uses guns and he kills people. He's basically the Punisher with bat ears.
Yeah, and then his mother.
So when we say that's
Joker.
Thomas Wayne, that's what we're talking about.
And his mother became the Joker in that universe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was
Fucking crazy.
fucking crazy.
Pretty cool idea.
Yes.
All right, so Batman, probably the least offensive out of all the character fuckery in this movie, though, because at least like it wasn't really Batman. But it was kind of cool. There was enough interesting there for me to kind of like shrug that off and be like, yeah, that's annoying, the nerd part of me, but like just on screen stuff is pretty entertaining.
Right.
Lex Luthor.
Oh, no, Alexander Luthor.
Yeah,
You got to make that perfectly clear. Like, I mean, like everyone's been saying so far because just the way he was just so out of it. I mean, he wasn't Lex Luthor. He was basically Jesse Eisenberg was playing Jesse Eisenberg. I'm not saying anything against him. Like, if you watch The Social Network, Jesse Eisenberg is Mark Zuckerberg did a fantastic job. He was like he was more threatening in that than he is in this movie. But in this movie, he's basically playing Jesse Eisenberg trying to play the Joker. It's like, it's just like he has all these little mental tics and stuff like that, and he's like freaking out. And I'm just like,
I can't help but feel that somebody from like, you know, the DC or WB execs was just like, well, the Joker was really popular in Dark Knight. Can we get a Joker character in here? What about Lex Luthor? I mean, he's the bad guy. But the bad guy could be crazy.
Exactly.
And Snyder's just like, fuck. Like, that's the only thing. Because okay, it wasn't Luthor at all.
He really wasn't
at all. And I mean, you have so many people in this universe, especially after the Zod fight, that hate Superman. Why drag Lex Luthor's name through the mud to get your point across when he could have been any 2-bit, you know, business dude that was mad?
Yeah, seriously.
Anybody could have done that, you know? You didn't need to do that because like they didn't show Joker in this.
No, they didn't.
So they could have kept Luthor for a future thing as well instead of just fucking destroying him like this. And because okay, Lex Luthor is the antithesis of everything this character is, of Alex Luthor. We're gonna call him that.
Yes, exactly.
Just Lex Luthor is calm, collected, in control, super passive, and just is passive aggressive. Everything he does never traces back to him, never gets his hands dirty because he's running this multi-million-dollar corporation. He's just out of reach of the law and the superheroes themselves. Like, he can't be touched.
Yeah, one of the best ways to one of the best interpretations of this is the Young Justice interpretation. I mean, not only the Taz version from Superman Taz and Justice League, but I would say the Young Justice version is slightly superior because he was calm and collected and nothing really ever got to him. Like, he was just like, this guy is intimidating and dangerous, and I feel like if I was in the same room with him, he like convinced me to do something I didn't want to do just by like talking to me and communicating with me. He was just that intimidating and threatening.
Right, and it's great because Luthor is the opposite of Superman, and that's what makes their rivalry so great. Because again, it's the man versus the god, and while Superman solves his problems with his brute strength, you know, Luthor creates them because he's a genius. He's calculating, and he does everything very carefully and purposely. And that makes the dynamic so interesting because, of course, you as the viewer know that Luthor is doing something wrong, and you, like Superman, would just like to go in there and beat his ass.
Yeah.
But Superman's bound by his own moral code, so he can't do that. And none of the heroes can do that. And Luthor knows they can't do that and constantly takes advantage of that. And that's his character. But in here, he's just like the psycho, like, tame version of the Joker who's, like, directly getting involved and, like, gloating and being, like, this psychopath.
It's freaking ridiculous. Okay, like there are certain scenes where he's just okay, that ending, that fucking ending, it's just like you really that like sealed it for me because I thought as soon as they shaved his head, it'd be like, oh shit, now he's finally gonna be the intimidating, threatening Lex Luthor. He's like, all right, I'm done with this shtick. I'm gonna, get myself up. But no, he's just like, oh, tweet.
Yeah,
tweet,
what
tweet.
the fuck was that?
What was that?
I was like, that was like probably the cringiest part of the movie for me because like they're shaved. Nobody gets their head shaved in prison anymore. First of all,
yeah, they
that
really
was just,
don't.
They did that just like we got to make him look like Luthor, sort of. So they do that. And it's like, now he looks like Luthor. I'm like, okay, now you have no real excuse. And they just push him further off the deep end. And it's like, why? Why make this, like, honestly, in the beginning, I thought, because he was saying, like, Lex is my father, and, like, that he put the Lex in LexCorp. Like, is this supposed to be the actual Lex Luthor's son? Is that what we're going with?
Right.
But no, it's just, they just butchered the character. So, I mean, so Luthor was really bad.
Yes.
Like, atrociously bad. Just
that wasn't even Lex Luthor. Let's just be honest. It was just Jesse Eisenberg going in for a paycheck. Like,
yeah,
a superhero movie? I'd like to be a part of that.
And I mean, it's in his defense though. I thought Jesse Eisenberg did a good performance for what he was given in the script, but it just wasn't Lex Luthor.
Exactly.
I have no beef against the guy. Like you said, Social Network did a great job. But yeah, my little 9 was Luthor is a joke, and then in parentheses R Joker. But yeah, let's talk about Doomsday.
Oh, fuck that.
Or Dino. Doomsday in name only.
Yeah, no. They freaking X-Men Origined Spider-Man 3'd his poor ass. Okay, it was just so stupid the way you do. So, basically they get Zod's corpse from the first movie. They put him in the Kryptonian spaceship. And so Lex decides, oh, I'm going to, reanimate this body somehow and just teach me how to do it. And so he starts adding all this stuff. He adds his own blood. And then, you're like, oh, shit, what's going to happen? Even though we all saw the trailer. And then he's just like, well, Superman, the devil will kill you now. And I will introduce you to your Doomsday. And I'm just like, oh my fucking god. And so he comes out, looks like the 2014 Ninja Turtles. And I was just like, what the fuck is this? That is not Doomsday. And Doomsday is personally my favorite Superman antagonist, just because I remember the action figure for that, reading the comic as a kid, and just I loved his design. I just loved the bone features and all that stuff. And so I love the fact he was the first one to actually just be a force of nature and actually take down Superman like what no one else could do. I mean, Darkseid was threatening, and Brainiac, of course, but he was the one who was just like a raging monster and did it. And I really like what they did with him in Justice League, the animated series. But in this movie, he comes out, he has no bony protrusions at all. And then when he's fighting, he gradually gets him. And so I actually started getting a little excited for him. I was just like, oh shit, is he going to actually, get with it? But no, not at all.
Yeah. And Doomsday wasn't this genetic thing or a, just this mindless monster. Doomsday had motivation and things he wanted to kill Superman, and he did. So,
or kill, quote unquote. Yeah, because you got to do that.
Right, exactly. Kill.
Yeah.
He wanted to sell comic books, is what he really wanted
exactly.
to do. So, again, it's the same thing with Luthor. If you're going to create this completely generic character or generic antagonist that has no relation to the character you're naming after, why not just have a crazy fucking Kryptonian experiment and not call it Doomsday and just have it be that and save Doomsday for later?
Exactly.
They're throwing all these names at this film in an attempt to sell tickets, and I guess it worked because we both did it.
Yeah,
but
so true. I mean, I was gonna see it regardless because
the joke's on us, I guess. We're allowing this to perpetuate. Yes. But it's
that's why we warned the people.
My nerd rage, I guess. But why? Why do that? Why? I mean, because nobody went there to see Because this is what I was talking to my dad about last night. It's like, okay, you're throwing Doomsday in here, you're throwing Wonder Woman in here, and you're doing all this. I felt that the inclusion of Doomsday was really bad because the whole reason you want to go see this movie is for Batman versus Superman. And to have, 20 or so minutes of this movie being taken up by this pointless conflict with Dino takes away from the runtime you can devote to the title slugfest.
Yeah.
The Batman versus Superman fight was pretty good.
Yeah, it was.
But it was also pretty short.
No, it was really short. For a movie called Batman vs. Superman, which is supposed to be like the main port of the movie, is like the titular thing of the movie. It's so short. Like, you can literally just go, oh, that was, like, how long? Like, if you go in and time it, that was probably, the whole fight was probably about like 15 minutes. Honestly.
Yeah, and not too much happened with it. And I think the real problem is that, like, you look at the design of Batman in this movie, and you look at the stuff that Zack Snyder's been saying, and obviously he was drawing inspiration from The Dark Knight Returns,
oh,
which
exactly,
is the Frank Miller comic.
I love the pose, though. I will say that I kind of geeked out when Batman did the pose, the Batman Dark Knight Returns pose on the building.
That was like, he's drawing so much imagery from that. Every time they like reference him, like, yeah, it's fucking sick to see, like, the Frank Miller like super armored suit like in a theatrical film and stuff.
Yes, exactly. Oh my god, this armor suit. Go ahead.
The motivation behind the fight in this movie is so stupid.
It really is.
It's like, I captured your mom versus you're mad your building got cut down. That's the conflict. Whereas you look at Dark Knight Returns, there's this huge thematic undertone to like both of these characters, and they're clashing. It's like the culmination of like 20 years of conflicting ideology coming to a head. And it has so much more like weight to it. And there's so much more reason for the fight, and there's a personal investment because both characters already know each other. And there's all this history, and none of that really made the transition over to this movie. And I feel like, the punching's great, but it's the why they were punching that made The Dark Knight Returns so fucking good.
Yeah, seriously.
Because like throughout everything, like Batman and Superman are different characters, and everybody who writes them well knows this, and that they're friends to an extent, they respect each other, but they both have different methods, different ideologies, and different reasons for doing kind of the same thing, just going out and beating up bad guys and stuff.
Exactly.
But in this, none of that really gets represented because they don't really know each other, they don't have any history, and they don't have any really powerful ideological reasons for throwing down. It's just, I'm mad you broke my toy, and I'm mad that my mom's been kidnapped, and that's the whole thing. And so obviously the fight dissipates entirely, and there's no real bad blood at all. And so that just seemed like a missed opportunity. But again, when you're going this fast to get your universe up to speed, you don't have any time to lay the groundwork for any of these big conflicts.
Exactly.
When you think about like Avengers and Loki's involvement in everything, there was history there.
Yeah. That was like
and they had other movies and stuff to tie all these things together and build to this big conclusion. That's why Avengers works so well, because like the thing that kind of sucks is that this is the moment. Like, this is like, you're not going to be able to have this moment again. Like, with Avengers, like all these characters on screen at the same time, and it was the first time it had been done.
Exactly.
It was crazy.
It was insane.
Everyone went nuts. Like despite everything before it being really like underwhelming to me, the moment where like Doomsday first appears, and then it's Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman all in the same shot.
The whole Trinity. I
got fucking that was hype. Yeah. I was like, there it is. This is history right here.
Yes, I agree.
It just sucks that history's encapsulated in a fucking shitty movie. It's like, you don't, DC, this was it. This was your moment. You can't do this shot again. Like, it's done. It's been done. And this is what you decided to do with it. And it just seems like such a disappointment compared to like what they could have done if they'd taken their time. And the funny thing is, we say that it's going fast.
Yeah.
Right? But it's been how long since Man of Steel?
2013.
Like what? Like 3 or 4 years?
Yeah,
right?
It was 2013.
A couple years ago. God, when was it? Like, it was a while back. How many Marvel movies have come out?
2013.
And it's like 5 Marvel films have come out since then, and they couldn't even do one movie, right? It's just like such a missed opportunity.
It really is.
And I don't know. I mean, like, that one frame was super fucking awesome. It's just a shame that it had to be surrounded by so much other crap. And, I mean, the last character that really... this is kind of a tie-over from Man of Steel, but what the fuck is with Superman?
Oh, God, don't even get me wrong. Like, okay, so I thought that the beginning of this film, they would be like, okay, Superman has learned that killing is like wrong. Okay, he had to take a life to learn that the preciousness of life. And then, oh, what's he do at the beginning of this movie? Fucking tackles a guy through 10 brick walls. What the fuck, yo?
Yeah, like, that guy's not gonna survive. He's just a dude. And so, my big beef with Superman in this movie really started in Man of Steel, and it comes from Zack Snyder clearly not understanding any of these characters, really. I mean, but I think Superman more so.
Oh no, he doesn't. He makes that new 50. This Superman makes new 52 Superman look like Fluttershy in comparison. It's like fucking ridiculous.
But I mean, that's such a big issue because like Snyder was talking about this and how he's upset at all the butthurt from the nerds. He's just like, I'm trying to grow up the characters, but this really isn't growing up the characters. This is like a regression of the characters. To not understand any of the nuance on why these characters do what they do, and it's just like, I think to Zack, like, Superman is just strong and he flies. Batman is dark and
knows
dresses
martial
like a
arts.
bat. Like that's the whole thing. Like they're nothing but their powers and the way they look. But all these characters are more nuanced than that. They have thematic elements. They represent certain things. They stand for certain things, and that's what makes the characters so interesting. And I think this is why the conflict between Batman and Superman in this movie was kind of thematically empty, because I don't think Zack Snyder understands what theming is.
No, he really doesn't, because Superman in this movie, all right, he has two modes. He's either an asshole, he like looks sad, and he's being emo, or he's just like, oh, like that whole scene, like with he's like a fucking I'm sorry, Henry Cavill, I'm sure you're a nice guy. I hear you like to play WoW and all this stuff, but acting wise, it's like a piece of wood, man. I mean, oh my god, like I cannot get behind like all his like stuff as Superman. He was just like standing there, wood. And then like the scene with him and Ben Affleck, I was like, I feel like that was a real scene. Like Ben Affleck was like, I am out acting this poor kid like up and down the table. So it was so sad. I'm just like, why couldn't see? You know what made Christopher Reeve so great is he had personality and he brought something to that character. I mean, his suit may have looked like, you know, a freaking Party City suit, but it was still like him as a person, as a character. He like really encapsulated what I really loved about Superman. Like Tim Daly just makes you want to be a better person when you hear his voice. But yeah, this one's just I can't. I can't.
Well, I think that comes back to what this Superman is, and like just to kind of get into it, because like this is something I've had a problem with since Man of Steel, is that they fucked up Superman. And the reason they fucked up Superman is because Superman is supposed to be a representation of what the best humanity can be.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he is. He's jokingly called the Big Blue Boy Scout, but that's the whole point. Like,
a deal to strive for. Like every character,
he has this godlike power, and he's using it responsibly, and humbly. You know, he has every reason to be arrogant, to be like holier than thou, and isn't.
Yes.
And the reason he's not doing that is because he was raised in Kansas, and he was raised by two normal people who had a really strong moral compass, and, you know, passed that on to their adopted son, and he took that and ran with it and used his gifts to the best of his ability. Everything that was good about Superman's character came from humanity. It was his humanity that tempered his abilities.
Exactly.
Man of Steel doesn't do that.
It really doesn't. Okay, like there's that scene with his parents. Like, what was I supposed to do? Let him die? Maybe. What the fuck?
Yes, exactly.
Why would you even say that? No.
Because like his parents in this continuity are assholes.
Yeah, like in this movie, like even Martha Kent was like, "Look, you can be the hero.
You don't owe him a damn thing."
Just
like no, like, because, and then where does his like moral center come from in Man of Steel? It comes from Jor-El. So what it becomes is that like Superman's goodness is alien.
Yeah.
You know, he's better than humanity, and we're all just fucking horrible, evil people, and we need a savior, a Christ figure, to keep us all in line. It becomes this weird kind of pseudo-religious kind of deal, whereas like Superman is supposed to represent the best of humanity. This is just like, he's like our shepherd. because we can't do it on our own. And it just completely botches what Superman's supposed to be. And now he's like morally conflicted because he's, you know, trapped among the masses of terrible fucking lay people, and that's corrupting him. And I don't have a problem with Superman questioning his ideals, but the fact that they've never been cemented and they're not strictly from humanity, and like Zack tries to like retcon that and makes it like, no, like the reason I do this is because I'm like it's the dream of some Kansas farmer. Like,
But
your
you could've
dad
easily
didn't want you
saved-
to ever do anything. Remember, his dad was like, dude, you just gotta keep this shit secret. No one can know who you are. The world's not ready. So this was never Pa Kent's dream in the Man of Steel movie.
Yeah,
Like, that line didn't make any sense. It was Jor-El's dream. Jor-El was the one telling him, like, they're fucking shitty, but you gotta raise them up, son. That's your point. You're the new Jesus.
Oh my god, yeah, and then he's like, you'll give him something to strive for, an ideal, and like,
Right.
See, I wouldn't mind it so much if he had like some damn personality and charm to him. Like, I'm here to like, I hate to go back to Christopher Reeve, but he just had that like lovable thing about I'm here to protect truth, justice, and the American way. And then this one's just like, oh, well, I lift things up and put them down. I'm strong. And
Yeah,
that's what I do.
He's just blank. And like, it's interesting because like I get really upset when people are like, Superman's boring. Superman, like,
Dude,
he's too strong, blah, he's just boring, he's a boring character. This is exactly what I think people must see Superman as.
Yes, it's ridiculous because I recently I wrote something on Tumblr recently about because someone was asking me like I think it's stupid like how Superman has his disguise and identity and stuff like that, and then like you really have to like think about Clark's disguise is a lot more plausible if you consider like most people in Metropolis don't even think or believe Superman even has a secret identity. He's just like this enigma, this force of nature that just comes and saves people whenever, wherever he is. And so like, why would people believe that this person, this OP god, would be sitting right next to them, like on the train or sitting right by them at work and stuff like that? It's like similar with celebrities and stuff like that. Because like you can have a celebrity, what's that one dude's name? There was this one celebrity recently. He was just on the subway with a cap on backwards and some sunglasses, and no one recognized him at all. He was just slumming it. And then like Michelle Obama went into a few stores, but then you have characters like Kenshin Himura and Vasha Stampede, and so like they are these like incredible forces of nature, and they always act like clumsy and goofy and tripped over their own feet, and then no one would be like, oh my god, this is no way this guy's a legendary manslayer, there's no way this guy's a humanoid typhoon. And then Clark's glasses are only part of his act. His mild-mannered demeanor is just larger alter ego.
He's so ignorable.
Yeah, he's so ignorable. Like, you don't think like, oh, this guy who's a god who can lift the freaking planet, fly to the sun and back in less than 2 minutes would do all this stuff. It's
Why would he like listen to fucking Perry, like belittle him constantly and like write news stories? He is the news. He could make the news whenever he wanted, you know?
Exactly.
Like he could control the narrative of the entire planet, but he doesn't do it.
Because he's so
and that's
humble.
what makes Superman so great. You know, he's everything that you want to be.
Yeah,
you know, it's everything you almost can't be, but you just try and be it's an ideal to strive for. And again, like you know, the Justice League cartoon and the Superman animated series encapsulated that so well, you know. And it's a little kid show from the 90s fucking understood this like perfectly.
Exactly. And then like
you throw millions of dollars at the screen and you can't do it.
I don't know. I don't understand how they don't get it. It's like, okay, see, this is the thing about Superman. He is I like the way Max Landis put it. He's the man among children. Like, he has every ability there ever was. He can, if he wanted to, the planet would be gone. Like, no one could stop him, and there's nothing anyone could do about it. But he's so humble, and he's like the parent that like just takes care of him because no one else can. And it's like, what makes heroes so relatable is they're all trying to be better heroes. They're all trying to go out and do the best they can be. And Superman is that perfection. He has every little thing. Like, he can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. So the story isn't like, oh, I can beat everyone with one punch, man. It's like, you can just like, I am learning to live among people, just like I'm a god among men, and I'm just trying to
just a responsible use of your powers. And the fact that like Superman's so detached from humanity, you know, like the scene where he's just like he's with Lois like after the beginning of the movie, he's like, I just need to understand what happened. He's like, I don't care, I don't give a shit what happened. Like, contrast that with the Justice League cartoon when the Watchtower gets hijacked and the weapons used on Cadmus, and Superman turns himself in to the government and tells everyone else in the league to do it. And like he's in handcuffs. He could break the handcuffs easily, but he understands that he's part of this culture and like he's gonna abide by that. You know, he's gonna put the best foot forward. And like this Superman just doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a shit about anything. He's just like so cold and distant and boring and no personality. And like there's no chemistry between Clark and Lois.
Oh, none at all. Like getting into the movie, like in the first movie, like even our friend Paleo brought this up in his review. Like there is nothing that made me go, oh, because if you watch the old show, like the 90s show, like we keep bringing it up because that was a great show. But like even the old movies, like you really like these two together. You like seeing Clark and Lois get together and just like play off each other. Like she's just this like straight no nonsense like woman, and he's this like good Boy Scout get together. And this movie is just like, oh, I'm hot, you're hot, let's make out. Like the beginning of this movie, that was just like, is this supposed to be attractive? Like he just like
just like he just like jumps into the bathtub.
It was like a Terminator getting in the bathtub. Like what?
It was really creepy.
Yeah.
And then the end, like when he's like picks up the spear, he's like, "I love you." I'm just like, I don't believe it. I don't believe it at all. You know, like there's nothing here that makes me feel like this has any sort of sense of believability. There's no chemistry. Like nothing happens. It's just Lois fucks up, he comes and saves her, and that's it. You know, like I feel like Lois is robbed of a lot of agency too, because like, you know, again, the animated series, Lois got shit done.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did.
And like she was an actual character. Like Lois just gets damseled constantly, just like, oh, I need to get the spear because I already fucked up and threw it in the water.
Yeah, me and my friend were making fun of that. Like, oh, she throws it in the water. I'm trying to help. It's just
how does she know that she needs to get the spear? No one even talked to her.
Yes.
It's just like, what? Like you just have to damsel yourself again so Superman can save you again so we can set up this shot. And you know, that's interesting. A lot of people know things, and I don't know how. How does Lex Luthor know everything?
Because I'm Lex Luthor. I have to.
Because he's Lex Luthor. That's the only reason. Like, there's no evidence at all to show that like he's figured all this out. He just is really obsessed with kryptonite.
Yeah, you know what this problem with this movie is? Another thing, like I was watching this movie review site I'll call Double Toasted, and they were brought up a valid point because there was this a thing a while ago where Trey Parker and Matt Stone in South Park, they went to a college and they were talking about what makes a good story and what makes a bad story, and then they say what makes a good story is you say, all right, this happens, therefore this happens, but this happens, so this happens. But like he said, this is where you fuck up. If you go, this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens. So it's just like, that's not good story because you're just seeing and then, and then, and then. And this is what this entire movie is. It's just, okay, this happens. All right, and then freaking Batman shows up. All right, and then Wonder Woman shows up. And then Superman shows up. And then Doomsday's here. Oh my God, it's crazy. And then they're fighting. Yeah. And it's just like, it's God.
Cause and effect versus a series of effects.
Exactly.
So you there needs to be like logic that drives things from one thing to the next. If you don't have that, you're just shooting a bunch of scenes that just don't have anything to do with each other. And I think especially near the end where just shit just starts happening. It's like, why is this ship conducting all this lightning? Like, okay, there's the Doomsday, the Dino.
Yes, the Dino.
Is this super like taboo experiment thing that's been banned on Krypton forever, and it's super bad and nobody can do it, but we're going to build the capability for it into the ship.
Right.
And it's not even like it's just a random ship. It's like, yeah, we're going to allow this to be done, even though it's just like, it's so convenient that can happen. And it's so convenient that the ship still works, even though it's fucking half flooded and all this like ridiculous shit. So it's just like constantly like pulling conveniences out of its own ass. And then, you know, I thought it was pretty funny how they're just like, Doomsday's here, nuke him.
Yeah,
do it.
Oh, it should work. I don't know. Like,
let's just nuke him. Like Superman's nuke him too. It's like, can we just nuke something at the drop of a hat like that? Would we?
Yeah.
Like, again, like humanity in general is just robbed of all respect and agency in this movie. It's just like, they're terrible, everyone is bad. And it's just like, I don't know, it reads so melodrama and so just like negative.
Yeah, that was one of the parts in the movie where I was just like, okay, I'm just getting tired of sitting on this sit. And I was just like watching Like that whole thing with the thing, like the humanities just felt like so helpless in that scene. Just like, oh, what should we do? We should just nuke him. Oh, so you mean the radiation won't affect the populace below? No, just
Yeah,
nuke
no
it.
fallout or anything.
No,
Are you sure? Are you sure?
sure. It was so completely idiotic.
Yeah. And then what I thought was really stupid, and this is the last note I have, so if there's anything else I haven't mentioned, feel free to go off.
Okay, I will.
Is that no one in the theater is going to think that Superman is dead.
Yes.
Why did you take 20 minutes to build up all of this empty melodrama about Superman dying when the movie's called Dawn of Justice? He's not dead.
He's not dead. He's
like,
just...
stop it.
Yeah.
You're not, this is like the stupid. Like, I'm just like, they're really still milking this? We're really gonna have this huge 10-minute like dual fucking like graveyard scene and like everyone being all sad and upset?
Oh yeah.
It's like he should just gasped awake after he got stabbed and saved everyone 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Shave off 20 minutes of the runtime. Could have showed the film an extra like 3 times a day.
Oh yeah, exactly. You can shave off those 20 minutes. You can shave off. There weren't that many flashbacks. Only about 16. You can shave off.
Why is everyone hallucinating in this movie?
Yeah. Batman's having.
Everyone is mentally unstable.
Exactly. Like they are. They really are so mentally unstable. Like so many people just have things like Batman was having messed up dreams. Superman was like, oh, I thought this happens. Oh, I don't know what will happen. Lex Luthor is like fantasizing about. My God.
Like even like the beginning of the movie just took me like for a ride when it's like all the bats start flying around Kid Bruce and starts floating. I'm like, please let this be a
Yeah,
dream
yeah,
sequence.
dude.
Like,
I so agree.
oh no, like we're starting off bad already.
And that was like a slow motion. He was like falling down the well in slow motion. I was just like, oh God, why do we like? First of all, like here's the thing, like. I don't think they needed to tell that flashback story. Like, there are 3 main heroes everyone in the world can go. Like, you can go up to any kid in the world and just like, all right, what's Superman's backstory? He was an alien. His planet blew up. He got sent to Earth, and then he got raised by some farmers and became like the great Superman. What's Batman's backstory? He got sent to. He was got with the. Seeing a movie with his parents, they got shot. He decided to train in martial arts the rest of his life. He became Batman. What's Spider-Man's backstory? His uncle, he got bit by a radioactive spider. He got shot, and then he decided to become Spider-Man. So it's just like those 3. Like you go up to like the majority of the world, they can tell you that story. So it's just like that. Just seemed like an entire waste of time to me. Like, we all know what happened. We all know Batman's backstory. I'm pretty sure little kid.
We just came off the Dark Knight trilogy. It's not like this has been out of the public mind for any time at all.
Exactly. It was just stretched out.
Which is why I thought it was kind of interesting when they were showing Batman as a response to Superman. Like, so they changed the origin of Batman for this. But then they didn't, because his parents still died. He was still doing Batman stuff before Superman happened. It was just very confusing.
It just brought him out of retirement. That's all it did. It's just it's a waste of time. Whole this movie. Like, okay, this is a 2.5 hour film. All right, so let's see. Cut out all the hallucinations, cut out all those, cut out the flashbacks, cut out cut the slow-mo down. All right, some of the slow-mo is cool, but some of the slow-mo is just like, Zack Snyder, you like have a fetish with that button.
He really does.
He really has a fetish with that button. It's annoying. I mean, like 300 was one thing, but this, just stop, man, stop. Ugh.
All right, that's all I got on my list. So is there anything?
Okay.
I mean, you've been thinking about this longer than me, so if you have more things you need to fucking rip into.
I'll say this, okay? All right, save yourself some freaking money. Okay, one of the best Batman. I think what ruined this film for me was I watched Batman and Superman, the animated series version beforehand, where Batman and Superman first team up, and then he's like
World's Finest.
Yeah, World's Finest, the animated series. And I also watched Public Enemies, and just seeing Kevin Conroy and Tim Daly play off each other. And then I also watched Tim Daly and Kevin Conroy do a little live action skit, and I thought it was amazing. So just seeing those 2 things, like those guys who really genuinely love being these characters, who really put their heart and soul into being these characters and everything. And just seeing these people who just really look like buff-ass cosplayers. Like, that's what they basically look like, just buff-ass cosplayers doing, like, poses and stuff like that. But it really has no substance. It really
Didn't you think it was really disappointing, to bring up World's Finest, that they didn't do anything really cool when they figured out each other's identities? Because the identity scene
was great.
in World's Finest was fucking awesome.
I know, right? He's like, Bruce Wayne? Oh, you say this, you peaked. And then he like pulls out the kryptonite, and then like later on he's just like, oh, I tagged you, and he just like
it tracks him all the way back, and he just uses his like
Binoculars.
supervision. He's like chilling with the binoculars like halfway across the city, just gives him a wave and jumps away.
Yeah, it's just like that was amazing. And
that's the kind of like soul that this movie doesn't have. You know, there's nothing like that. It's just like two angry dudes with fists.
Exactly. It's just two angry dudes with fists going on about stupid motivation. Like the whole thing with Superman being upset about his mother getting kidnapped. I feel like, okay, see, this is me just being stupid, like thinking, okay, well, in this version, he was fast enough to fly his son back in less than 2 minutes. He's fast enough to fly around the Earth to turn time back. So I'm pretty sure he could like, can't he hear everyone in the world? Like,
he can hear Lois regardless of where he is.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, can't he just like find out where he is, get there in like 2 seconds, and just save her?
Yeah, that was one. Okay, that was a genuinely good part of Superman Returns. I'll say that part where he's up in the sky and he's just like, "Do you hear that?" And she's like, "I don't hear anything. I hear everything." And it's just like, "Oh wow, you're like in a constant state of like wanting to help people and doing it." So that makes sense. But then like, okay, you have this super hearing. You can't find your mother. You can't like hear whatsoever, like go up and like censor. Like he has so many powers from the comic books. I'm pretty sure he should be able to find her.
Right. I mean, it'd be less than excusable if they didn't do it multiple times with Lois in this movie.
Yeah.
So it's just ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Ugh. Let me see. I think that was it.
Yeah, I mean, we've been going for almost an hour, so.
Oh damn! Well, don't go watch this movie. I mean, technically you have to go see the second one. Is like they introduced the Mexican Flash. The guy was, I don't know, was he Hispanic?
Yeah, I didn't know who that was supposed to be because like I didn't know which Flash that was supposed to be because it didn't look like Wally West or Barry Allen or anybody.
No,
I was like, is he like Asian or Mexican or something? Like I'm all for a new Flash if you want to do it. I was just confused because everybody else was who they were supposed to be.
And then it's just like yeah, because you know what? It's one of those things where I really wish I would have loved to see the Flash from the TV series, like in the movie.
Me and my dad were talking about it too. Like, why? Okay, they have these two shows. They have Arrow and Flash,
and then they have Supergirl now. But Supergirl's no,
I haven't seen it. I've seen a little bit of Arrow. I haven't seen any of the Flash, but I know people watch them. It's like you have like again this entire like angle you could have added into your big universe, but now you have a different Flash. And I'm assuming Arrow's out too because there's continuity between those two shows. So you're continuing to fragment your properties when Marvel is having all this success, clearly like premeditating and thinking about how everything's tying together because there's Avengers references all the time in Daredevil
and Jessica Jones as well.
And Jessica Jones, like every time they refer to the incident, they're referring to the first Avengers.
Yeah.
When like New York gets fucking the shit kicked out of it. So like everything is connected. And that means that they can bring all these things together at any time.
And it means so much that you like grow with these characters. Like when Iron Man, I'll say this primarily for Iron Man and the Hulk movies. Those, I did not know that they were gonna, like, I don't think any of us knew that they were gonna go for the Avengers, like actually like pull it off because that had never been done before. But like, okay, you have Iron Man 2008, the Incredible Hulk 2008. They both feel like their own like standalone films. Then you get Iron Man 2. It's like, okay, it's kind of lead up. Then Captain America and Thor introduces us to the characters, but they kind of feel like lead up for the Avengers, but it still doesn't matter. They're like all right films, and then you like bring them all together, and it's like really cool. So that's what's awesome about the TV series as well. It's like you're giving like years of doing. Like you had 2015 Daredevil season 1, 2015 fall Jessica Jones, and then they like play off each other, and like we get to like really feel and bond with these characters. So seeing them fuse together, like come together, is like going to mean so much more impactful. Like instead of just like, oh shit, well that was cool, you're Batman, this is Superman, talk to each other. This is like, oh damn, like you remember in the, okay, this is gonna be old school. Remember in the 90s when freaking Spider-Man the TV show teamed up with X-Men? And
hell yeah.
Yeah, you would see X-Men, like watch that show by itself, and then you watch Spider-Man, and it's just like, oh shit, these two finally teamed up. That is freaking cool. Like you get a feel with these characters, you bond with them, and then you see them come together, and you just see them kick ass. Like that's what makes some crossovers so cool. But
right, and wouldn't it have been weird if there was a different Spider-Man on the X-Men show?
Mm-hmm. It really would have.
It would have. We would have been. I, being a little kid, like, what the fuck's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't do that though. It was the same character, the same voice actor, and it was You know, and then they had X-Men popping into Spider-Man every now and then, like when he becomes the Man Spider, he thinks he's a mutant.
And then Punisher
like,
comes in.
Yeah, it's like so many, like all these things are just like interwoven together. And like, I guess Marvel just understands that like better.
Yeah,
like, they've been doing it forever. That just like all, and I mean, maybe it's because like all of these characters all usually centered around New York or California. And so like the locations enable more easy crossovers, but I don't think it's too hard to think about this, because again, DC Animation has been doing it with Justice League and like the World's Finest special and all these things. It's just like realizing that like you need to give these characters some sort of like establishment, have people like them, and then when you put them together, you have a history coming together, and it's much more impactful.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, I agree completely.
None of that happened because you had to establish Batman. You had to establish like this movie. Again, Ben Affleck was fucking great.
Yes.
But if we had the Dark Knight Christian Bale coming out of retirement from the tail end of Dark Knight Rises to come back
that
into the fold,
I would have been
from
hyped.
the presence of Superman, everyone would have a fucking boner in orbit right now.
Exactly, man.
Because you have all those movies to build off of the interest in that character. It just blows my mind. Like how like they're not taking advantage of all these opportunities.
Oh, exactly. Oh my god, like that would have been. I mean, Christian Bale said he was done with Batman. Like if Christopher Nolan, I think he said if Christopher Nolan really asked, he would have probably came back. But like, I mean, just think watching that trailer, just seeing Batman staring at the Batsuit, like. While Ben Affleck did a great job, just imagining him like actually being Christian Bale staring at his suit, that would have made that like, oh, okay, that's really impactful. Like, even though. Okay, Mark Ruffalo is a fantastic Hulk. He is phenomenal. I love him. But it's still one of those things where that was just like the little thing that kept me from fully going, this is cool. It was like Edward Norton. Because like it just, Edward Norton was the Hulk there. So
it was really good. I've really missed Edward Norton in that movie.
Yes.
Not that Mark Ruffalo is doing a bad job at all. Definitely. But again, it's that what we're talking about, that sense of continuity. Because you have a different Hulk now. And so I think that's probably why for me the Hulk always didn't. It felt like the odd man out in Avengers because it wasn't the same person.
It really it wasn't. I mean, like honestly, because now we have General Thunderbolt Ross coming back in Civil War, so it's gonna be like kind of, oh, you were chasing Edward Norton, and now you're with us, and then it's just. I mean, Avengers like that's just the whole thing. Like they're working their way up to like a big massive thing, and then they're potentially have the ability to bring in people from the TV show, so that's gonna be
like if we get Daredevil or something in there, or like John Bernthal as Punisher at some point, like that'd be super fucking rad.
That'd be dope. That'd be amazing.
So I mean, it just kind of makes me sad that Civil War is being used so early because Daredevil.
Yeah, you only have like 5 people.
War.
It's like a bunch of cosplayers getting in a fight in a parking lot.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally where it looked. They're looking like a fucking
airport.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, interesting location. But I mean, I'm sure that movie will be great. But again, like the whole idea of like you're building up this universe, and like I think Civil War probably should have been its own movie, not a Captain America film.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a whole other discussion. So is there anything else you want to say about Batman versus Superman versus poop before we call it?
All I'll say is this. All right, Henry Cavill, I'm sorry, man, you're not Superman. Batman, Ben Affleck, don't feel bad, man. You did a great job. Can't wait to see your solo film. Gal Gadot, you were extremely hot and great as Wonder Woman, in my opinion. Call me. And that's all I can say. And then they got Darkseid coming apparently, so we gotta wait for that now.
Yeah, so we'll see if. I mean, I still have hope that someday WB will figure this all out. I'm not there yet.
It's sad when Smallville does a better version of Doomsday than the fucking movie.
I think we can end it there. That says all that needs to be said. All right, man. Thanks for talking to me for an hour. I think we did hammered all the good points, all the big issues home.
Oh, well, thanks for inviting me, man. That was a great time, fun. I had a blast talking about this.
All right, dude. I will talk to you soon. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And I'll see you next time.
Yep, Momentai, guys. Peace out.